Let's talk about this camera, the Panasonic GH7. I've been using it for personal projects and some client work, and after 1 year with it, I can say it's a very capable camera. It's an amazing camera. And it's clearly designed with video in mind. And if you're looking for a hybrid camera that has the main focus on video and is not gonna break the bank, this one makes a lot of sense. So let's take a closer look, starting with the physical side of things. And by the way, my name is Dan, and I've been working in the creative field for 20 years now, and I'm currently living in Munich. I'm a Romanian. So let's get back to the camera. In the hand, it feels quite solid, and I think it's quite balanced. The grip is big enough and is comfortable, which might not sound exciting, but if you're holding a camera for more than half an hour, you'll know how important it is for the camera to have a good ergonomically grip. And one of the biggest differences between professional cameras and entry-level ones is the control that you have. And the GH7 delivers on that. There are plenty of dedicated buttons and dials, and once you get used to them, your work will speed significantly. And in terms of the image quality, I'm very happy with it. The available codecs and the available options that you have gives a lot of flexibility, more than you will ever need. And the image from this camera feels more organic. It's not so clinical like other cameras in this range. And of course, this is subjective. I really like it, and it's a look that it's easier to work with and more pleasant straight out of the camera. Now, in practical use, I've used GH7 for talking heads setups, and one feature I really appreciate is the luminance spot meter, which I discovered fairly recently. Honestly, it would have helped a lot earlier if I paid more attention to the camera and the features that it has. So with the luminance spot meter, it makes getting consistent light ratios much easier. I don't use a dedicated light meter, I don't own one, and even with the false color on an external monitor, dialing in exposure, especially for my skin, which is quite white, it's always a little bit of tricky. And even now, I have the light spot meter even on this camera, which is a Panasonic S5 Mark II, and I can see on the main light is I am around plus 0.4 stops, and on the dark side, on the field light, I am minus 7, 8, minus 0.7. So it's like one stop. And if we double that, it means that I have a 2-to-1 ratio. And this makes it so much easier to get your light ratios correctly. Like I said, I use it for talking heads, and those tend to run a little bit longer, so the the batteries becomes important, and the GH7 handles this really well. You can, for a longer session, you can power it via the USB-C port, or you can buy a dummy battery which frees up the port, the USB port, and you can record directly to an SSD drive. That combination is extremely practical, especially for longer sessions, where reliability matters more than anything else. Another small feature that ends up being more important than you expect is the telelight. It sounds trivial, but it gives you confidence that you're actually recording without constantly checking the screen. And when you're working alone, that peace of mind is worth a lot because you have so many things going on. Okay, then there's the B-roll. You always need B-roll. With the in-body image stabilization, the IBIS this camera has, you get usable handheld shots without immediately reaching for a gimbal. It might not replace it in every situation, but it definitely reduces how often you need it. So one of the main issues I keep seeing on YouTube, and it's a valid issue, is because of the sensor size. You might find that it doesn't perform as well as a full frame in some low light situation. For me, that wasn't a problem. And if I would record in low light and has a little bit of noise, it might not be a problem. And if it's a problem, there's excellent noise reduction solutions in software like DaVinci Resolve or Premiere. Not an issue. And one other discussion is that you don't get that much depth of field like a full frame, because again, the sensor size. But if you pair it with a fast lens, like I have this Sigma lens, which is 1.4, which on full frame is 2.8, you get excellent depth of field. Also, if you want to go further and really buy the best of the best, this Panasonic 25 to 50, for example, which is the 1.7, yeah, 1.7. This is an amazing lens, a really amazing lens, and you get really good subject separation. And if you look at the f-stops that are most commonly used in the film industry, or the t-stops, which are not quite the same thing, but anyway, if you look at like the most common one is 2.8. If you go much lower than that, the depth of field plane becomes really shallow. And I'll probably make a video comparing the GH7 with the S5 Mark II at similar aperture, just to see that the difference is not that big, and the image quality it's amazing in both cases. And this camera probably, as it's so packed a feature, will stay relevant for many years, and it feels like a solid investment. I know that on YouTube, YouTubers are changing cameras like they are socks. Not everybody has that kind of money to change all day, and then in the real world you don't really want to change systems so often. I've made these mistakes in the past. It's not practical. And beyond, when you buy the camera body, you also need to buy a lens, and you also need to buy a lot of accessories, like you need to buy tripods and lights and microphones. When you add it up, it's quite a lot of money. So, seen in this context, I think the GH7 is a very strong option. I've been working in the field, in the creative field, in IT world for over 20 years now, and I've always had a camera around. Even the photography was not my main focus, but I knew that every company will always need images, and there's no resources ever. So you need something, an image for a website, or you need a video for social media. Most companies don't have the budget or the resources to always hire specialists. But if you're working and you have some knowledge and you have a good camera, you can fill this gap. And that's probably about it for this video. I think I'll be making more videos about this camera in specific, with real-world scenarios or projects, because I think Lumix or Panasonic has done a solid job with the GH7, and I think it's underrated. The GH7 offers strong video focus features. It has a thoughtful design and has an excellent image. And for the price, I still think it feels reasonable. If you're considering a camera in this category, it's absolutely worth a closer look. See you in the next video.